Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Dateline Downtown podcast. This is Ted Shull, the editor-in-chief. I'm here with Joshua, the assistant editor. And we have a special guest today, UHD Provost, Mr. Ed Hugetz. Welcome to the program, Dr. Hugetz.
I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you. I myself received this letter 2 days ago, and I was a little bit upset because my family lives out of town, but I think that some students have kind of gone overboard with this. What is your assessment on that?
I think the best way that I can sort of answer that is to give a little context.
Sure.
I mean, of what is how
Sure.
did we get here? Okay. The first thing is that this particular commencement, finding the right date, has been a difficult time. The weekend that we would have liked to have had the ceremony is the week before.
Sure.
I mean, exams would have been over. If we could have done it on, I think it's the 17th or something like that, everybody would have been able to come to that event. There wouldn't have been no conflict on either side. What it turns out, the weekend that we scheduled it for was the Memorial Day weekend, which people had thoughts about taking that 3-day weekend to travel. The weekend before was Mother's Day. And the problem with that is we were in the middle of exams, and it would have been Sunday on a Mother's Day.
Sure.
So literally making the decision to go with the 23rd took us some thought. And then when we made that decision to go on the 23rd, we heard back from students, from faculty and staff that, did you know that particular weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and it might be difficult for people who had made plans, to go away that weekend. So then we began to explore what could we do. So we looked at the options. We knew that if we changed it, that we would create problems. I mean, the things that have come up. I mean, first of all, that it had already been posted, and I assumed that it was going to be on the 23rd. So people had gone ahead and done invitations and things like that. The other piece is that we knew that if people were traveling from out of town, that they may have scheduled to come in, that night on Friday night, and then be there for the Saturday. So
Yes.
then we would.
Which was my situation.
Yeah. So we, it's one of those things. We got pushback when we said it. When we did, we knew that we would get pushback when we put it there. When we changed it, we did try to get it as close to the date as possible, particularly for the travel piece. We were thinking of Friday evening, to be honest with you, but there was a concert at the Dynamo Stadium where they park, and so we knew that parking would be a disaster. We knew that people would be working, so we thought if we did it in the afternoon, then the work time that they would be taking off would be less. I mean, so we tried to pick a point, and then we had to make a judgment. We did. I remember that one of the last things they did is they talked to students about this. I think they looked up a group that were graduating, called them, and it was split. It was about 50-50 with the students, those that were for it and those were against it. So we went into this knowing that there was going to be a problem. I will tell you what we have received on the back end so far in the registrar's office where this traffic has been directed. We've received about 60 emails from students. Most of them are about the invitations. So, and we've said on the invitations that we will cover that cost if you show us. With the case of the bookstore, we're working on that automatically to pay for the change in the date. On the on those that have did it outside Barnes and Noble, we are going to if you give us the invoice, we will pay you, refund you for that. If you can't come, we will refund you for the cap and gown. And we've said on people that have travel problems that we will, on a case-by-case, try to work with the family on that. I will tell you, most of them are about invitations. I mean, that's been the big group. The airplane issues it's been 2 or 3 people that have talked to us about that. So it is. I understand this was a situation that we were going to disadvantage certain people. And all I can say is that we want to work through it. I mean, we've set up an email address, a phone number to deal with this matter and try to work through it.
How early were you guys able to release the letters to students saying that you were going to change the date after you found out it was happening? Was it an immediate? Like, were you guys able to immediately let the students know,
once we got the feedback? No, that took a while because we had to work. Part of it is we had to think through some of this, and some of the problems on this piece, and then we had to discuss, with Minute Maid, what were the options, and we went back. We were really debating whether we shouldn't do it on Mother's Day. I mean, that was the biggest thing. Would Mother's Day have kind of saved us? I mean, I had personal experience of doing, when I was at Clear Lake, of doing a Mother's Day, and boy, we got hit with huge. And so I said, well, I can remember my experience with that. That did not work out well. So did you want?
Well, I know that in my own personal case, being affected by this, a lot of people are acting on emotion, it seems like. And obviously, I don't think I can see where travel wouldn't be that much of a issue because it was just announced a week prior.
Right.
So I myself hadn't begun to make travel arrangements yet. My biggest concern personally is whether people can get off of work. To be able to travel down, it will probably require an extra day off because I have people coming from New York and places like that. So in my case, Saturday would have been perfect. But obviously, I understand that, it's not about me. It's about the whole class, and it has to accommodate everyone.
Do you feel that the 60 or so students that you've heard from already represent a good majority of the students, the feelings that are coming from the students?
In terms of the things that I think that the issues do seem to be the announcements. Mm-hmm. There is some issue with a few students with regards to travel, and even the work piece has been smaller numbers than you might think. I mean, I think that we only had a couple on the work issue.
Yeah, from an SGA standpoint of view, we do have a town hall set tomorrow, and that's at between 6:30 and 8 p.m. at the auditorium here at UHD, so we can give students the ability to share their concerns and maybe, to have that talk with like an administration where they can hear exactly, what is the general consensus of the students. And one thing I think we need to keep in mind is that, our university is unique in that we can invite as many family members and friends as we want, where other universities, they can only invite 2 people, per person. So, there's pros and cons to everything. So with that, using a stadium that's shared by professional sports right? We do have to make adjustments, and it's always a challenge to work our commencement schedule in comparison to the schedule of the sports team, right? So we enjoy the benefits of being able to bring all of our family and friends, but with those benefits comes a negative side. The negative side is that, you know, we have to make adjustments for the days in which we do graduation, and you know, and I know our students, you know, we've had packed stadiums with all family and friends there, so it's a really awesome opportunity, and it is one of our trademarks here at UHD. So I think considering all those things, I think it make it a little bit more forgiving of having to change the date, because it's something we have to tackle every semester, every graduation, right? It's this adjusting to these variabilities within the stadium that we're using. Unfortunately, we're not a school that have like our own stadium, but once again, what comes with that is having a limited amount of people that you can bring to your graduation. So now we have a thing where I can invite Uncle Bob, Uncle Ted, Aunt Nisa, you know, my cousins, my best friends, high school friends, and you can really have it to be an exciting experience, an amazing experience. And I think that's what's lost in this conversation.
Yes.
You mentioned the town hall meeting that will be hosted tomorrow.
Correct.
I think that's a great idea, because even though there can be really nothing done to like change it now, you know, it's been changed. It's sometimes it helps to be able to, for students to be able to just voice their opinions and, you know, get what they want to be said out there. You said that there are going to be administration officials at the town hall tomorrow.
Yes. The provost will definitely be there. I wouldn't be surprised if Claire was there, and a few of the others. So definitely administration wants to get involved. And we actually had it set for a different time, but it conflicted with another event that was happening. Administration really saw this as being very important and wanted to be there, so we made the change in time to accommodate, so we can have more administrators there and not have a conflict of events like with students as well. Right. So, you know, SGA, we're doing what we can right now to really engage the students. We're investigating the matter ourselves from the student perspective of you know, how decisions were made and what led to this. And you know, from our investigation thus far, everything seems sound. You know, it's a very rational thought that, okay, well, we can't have it this week because of a sports team that's going to be playing, you know, and all the adjustments, and then getting feedback from students and actually going through a process where they pulled a number of students that are graduating and asked them what was their opinion. It's 50-50. So, you know, it's one of those choosing the best of two evils, and unfortunately that was the position we was put at this point.
Yeah, it just seems like it was just something that hit the students hard, because, you know, when it happened, I'm not a senior, but when it did happen, I saw all of my friends who attend UHD. I mean, social media is like the Oscars or something. Like, everyone was talking about it. But it's nice to see that the administration, you know, and the school and SGA has gotten on top of it to make sure that everything is being worked out, because I like the fact that you said students can be reimbursed for invitations, and you're working with families about travel plans. So that's nice to hear, and I'm sure the students will be able to appreciate that.
Yeah, and definitely, and you know, and they're making accommodations for a case-by-case basis depending on the circumstances, and there's a number they can call that's been shared previously. I'll share it now. It's 713-221-8521. Again, that number is 713-221-8521. And so, if you know any specific concerns that you know that are individual for certain individual students, whatever, have them definitely call and share their concerns. And the university is doing everything they can to accommodate those concerns and those adjustments that students had to make because of the date change. So the university is fully on board, working to help the students to make whatever accommodations that'll be necessary on a case-by-case basis, depending on the circumstance.
Is this something that you believe in the future that can be blocked off or headed off in the future, like things like this, or is this just a matter of a scheduling conflict?
I think it happened last year. Didn't something similar happen last year?
I can't remember. It's a struggle.
Yes.
It is a constant struggle. So one side is the issue of the commencement at Minute Maid.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, John Locke has done a great job of explaining why we're so attracted to that venue. I mean, it is so exciting to see. Visitors who come to see the event are just amazed by how many parents and friends and family have showed up. I mean, but we are getting complaints from a lot of people. The winter one is brutal because there's no heat in the Minute Maid. Oh, and that's when we have our biggest graduation, because those from the summer come in, and added to those that are graduating in the fall, sometimes it's close to 1,200 people, and it runs 3.5 hours, and people get there 2 hours before. So you have, family, with including young children and older grandparents, sitting for 5 hours in the cold. And if one of the things that happen in commencement is, as soon as they walk across the stage, you see a huge percentage of students leaving because their parents and family have said, we can't take it anymore. I mean, so we are thinking hard about changing the venue. I mean, we're reluctant to do it.
I really enjoy the venue, and I think we had our last commencement, maybe 20,000 and up people there.
Wow.
So it's a big deal,
And it was beautiful. I mean, the big screen and everything. It's very nice.
Right.
Nice venues.
Right. It is. So anyway, we all need to work on the venue issue. But secondly, this issue does raise up, how do we connect with 14,000 students? Right. How does administration, how does student government, how does, Dateline, how does these podcasts? I mean, these are great attempts for us to kind of connect better and understand each other, because the more we talk, the more, the better the decisions. So we have to get lessons learned from this, is that we have to learn how to do this better. I mean, I will tell you that I mean, it is making an impact on me. But I think I need to hear it. That's why I'm glad that the student government has put this town hall meeting together tomorrow night, and I'm glad that you're doing this podcast, because everything that we can do to get us to understand each other, the better off that we are.
Well, I think what we can appreciate, myself especially as a student, I can really appreciate the transparency coming from the administration, because there is nothing that makes a situation more difficult than no communication.
Absolutely.
And so what students can appreciate, like I said, I can speak for myself, is, and I'm not even a senior, but it makes me happy to know that if something like this happens in the future, that will be covered, because it seems that you guys jumped on it right away. And you coming down here, doing the town hall tomorrow, it just shows that you are trying to accommodate students and make sure that graduation is a success, as it should be, because it's a day, celebration. So.
Yeah, I want it to be. I mean, I tell you, it's one of the most special things at UH Downtown. I mean, and I tell the incoming freshmen that, because we often started in the Shea building, and you can see over the top of some buildings Minute Maid. I said, that's where you're going to end up. And I hope we can do that. And it so that, I will tell you that everybody who worked on this, worked on it from the administration, worked on it in such a way that we were trying to make it the best event possible, because we do know how special it is to students. So there was no kind of malicious kind of reasoning going on. We were just, if we were to be faulted, it's a fault of judgment, anyway.
Yeah, and we may not be able, we may not have, super celebrity stars, coming to our commencement or whatever, but we do bring the stars that are in our students' lives, which is their family, which we think is the most important, which is why we have such a large venue to bring them in.
We have stars there. Our students are stars.
Yes.
Like, our students are stars at UHD. I think that's what made me fall in love with the school, because the students here, like, there's just an energy that you feel attending this school, and it's among the students who are really trying to do something, and like, it's inspiring to see. And so, like I said, as a student, it's also good to see the transparency coming from the administration on something like this, because it's, like he said, it's an emotional issue for a lot of students. So it's nice to see. So we thank you guys for coming down here. We appreciate your time.
And I especially want to say I'm impressed with your humility and your acceptance that this isn't a perfect situation. You know, that we try to find common ground and come to the best solution possible for
Right.
all.
Right.
Truly appreciate that
Well, thank
as a
you.
graduating senior.
Well, great. And that's-
And I look forward to attending the town hall meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll put the word out and hopefully get as many people there as possible.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Just one last time, the number for if you have concerns, the number is 713-221-8521. And we thank Mr. Hugetz, President Locke. We thank you guys for coming down here.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.